Hey everyone, you're watching We Had That, and today I'm going to talk about the 1987 Wave 6 GI Joe figure Outback. When GI Joe was reborn as a 3 3/4 inch action figure under the Real American Hero banner in 1982, I was immediately on board. Each year, a new wave of figures and vehicles was released, and for the first several years, I was a huge fan who wanted everything that Hasbro offered. But as the years went on, Hasbro began to stray from the original concept. The GI Joe team had originally been made up of military elite, but with each subsequent wave, more and more figures were showing up who didn't feel very military to me. I didn't mind the crazy Cobra outfits as much, since they were a terrorist organization, but I thought the guys involved with the US military should look a certain way. To me, it felt like 1987 was the crossover year for the GI Joe team. About half of the guys looked great. Falcon, in particular, was one of the most military-looking Joes of the entire run. But at the same time, you had Psych Out, who didn't look at all like he would be in the military. He was pretty much the opposite of what I personally wanted from GI Joe. That's the year we got Outback. According to his file card, Outback's real name was Stuart R. Selkirk from Big Piney, Wyoming. He was an infantryman and survival training instructor at both the Survival School and the Jungle Warfare Training Center. Recondo had also worked at the Jungle Warfare Training Center training instructors, so it's quite possible that Recondo trained Outback. I assume that they're referring to Fort Sherman, which at the time was an active United States Army base in Panama, affectionately known as Green Hell because it was apparently one of the most dangerous places on Earth. So if Outback was an instructor there, it would make him one seriously skilled survivalist. Outback came dressed in camouflage pants, a white t-shirt with the word survival printed on the front, gray gloves, black boots, and a green headband. Overall, I felt like this was a realistic uniform with the exception of the white t-shirt. I thought that making it an olive drab instead would have made the figure look a little bit more realistic. And the next year, Hasbro did exactly that when they released Night Force Outback. Outback came with 4 accessories. He had a Heckler & Koch G3 rifle, which is an actual gun, a light brown backpack and matching web belt or harness, and a green flashlight which could attach to his leg. I could never get the gun to fit into my Outback's hand, but I've seen photos of other Outback figures holding the gun, so maybe I was just too nervous about breaking a thumb to really get the gun to fit. Although having a separate belt/harness was a cool idea, I wasn't 100% crazy about the way it fit the figure. His backpack was huge, but still looked realistic enough that it didn't bother me. It just seemed like a survivalist wouldn't really need a bunch of stuff like that. The flashlight that you could attach to the leg or take off and use was awesome. I thought that that was one of the cooler accessories that came with the Outback figure. When it comes to Outback's appearances in other forms of media, he pretty much missed the boat on the popular GI Joe Sunbow cartoon series. That series ran from 1983 to 1986 and concluded with a feature film in 1987, the year that Outback was released. Although there were a few Wave 6 characters introduced in the film, in fact, Lieutenant Falcon was one of the main characters, Outback was not included. However, he did show up in the Marvel comic book series a few times. His first appearance was in issue number 59, and I think that appearance summed up Outback and his survivalist character pretty well. He had been dropped off in the Rocky Mountains to test military survival equipment and freeze-dried food, and his report was that the gear was crummy and the food was inedible, so he'd just been living off the land the entire time. His most prominent appearances in the comic book were over a multi-issue story arc from issues 61 to 67, in which he, Stalker, Quick Kick, and Snowjob were on a top-secret mission in Eastern Europe. In the first issue of the comic, Quick Kick and Snowjob were injured, and the group was about to be captured. Stalker stayed behind to look after the injured Snowjob and Quick Kick, but ordered Outback to return to the pit for help. Unfortunately, the U.S. government disavowed any knowledge of the mission, and Outback wasn't allowed to talk to anyone about what had happened. As a result, several of the other Joes who had wanted to rescue their teammates were furious with Outback for his silence. Outback made several more appearances in the comic book over the years, but he was never really an A-list character. Because the Outback action figure arrived on the scene close to the end of my GI Joe adventures, he didn't see as much action as my Joes from the first 4 waves. Still, I always thought he was a pretty cool figure, and even now his role on the GI Joe team makes sense to me. I'm sure if he had come out in an earlier wave, he would have been on a lot more of my missions. I'm curious to hear what you think about Outback. Did you have the Outback action figure when you were a kid? Did this survivalist survive your childhood adventures? Tell me in the comments below. Also, please give this video a thumbs up, and if you have a chance, it would be great if you would share it on social media. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe to my channel and hit that notifications bell. And one last thing, if you're a fan of toys, you should know about Toylanta, the biggest toy show in the southeastern United States, held annually just north of Atlanta, Georgia. Visit Toylanta.com for more information. As always, thanks for watching.